Okay, everybody. It looks like we're broadcasting live. I'll just wait for the quick confirmation. This is the remote setup here at the conference room of NBC Sports in San Francisco. I've got some new bells and whistles. For example, another Stream Deck product here. I'll try and hold it up for you. It's pretty simple. It allows me to, control everything with this stream all from one place. So I don't need to deal with this mess of wires and cables and everything else. I can quickly do stuff. Like, for example, the other day we were talking about Chris Davis. So, I mean, we're not necessarily right now, but if I wanted that, I could quickly pull it up. Let me see, is that set up too? Yeah, it is. If I wanted to take a quick glance at the stream and us getting rolling here, I can do that. Look at there I am a couple seconds ago. So we're starting to see 7, 8, 10 people here hopefully pretty soon. But yeah, I'm going to let this populate. I'm watching the baseball game. I'll take your questions. I'll take your comments. Let's see where this live stream goes. Let's begin just like this. Jack, thank you. This setup is nice. This is a little bit of the investment that's been made in the channel. I've now got the remote set up. Now I can live stream here from work too. I can also probably show you just a little bit here more of the conference room. There's the TV way over there. It's like an 80-inch screen over there that I can watch the game on. So pretty fancy. I am not complaining about this setup one bit. And I tried to pick a background like this that would be just, good for the video. So thank you, Jack, for, how do I get you back on there, for saying that. Really do appreciate that. Yeah. Wasn't going to mention it so far, although I am keeping score here. I have not filled in the fourth inning yet. But yeah, you can see it's not necessarily looking so favorable right now. Yesterday was about the most brutal game that I think I've covered in a long time. I mean, in all sports, disasters are going to happen. But yesterday, to be up, not just, let's start it off 2-0 early, and that held for 4 innings. And then they tie it on one swing of the bat. Okay. So then you score the next 6 unanswered in the game. And then they all of a sudden tie it up in the bottom of the 8th. And then you think you won it in the top of the 9th with a 2-run homer. And then they won it with a 3-run homer in the bottom of that frame. It's just unreal. Felix, you're here on the stream. I have been well. And yeah, you know what? I've just been putting those Tahoe cameras up as a public service. I know people are interested. And actually, you know what? My heart really goes to thinking about people from the Tahoe area or with a house there or a business there. And they just wanted a way to, I know it didn't show where they were at, but just to kind of gauge the situation. Once you leave, I mean, you just don't have a good visual of like what's going on there. So webcams are super important, and I just wanted to share that. Anchorage, Alaska. See, I'll tell you what, Go Sharks, and by the way, I see an A's hat on your avatar. That's pretty cool. This is what I love about the live streams. When we make TV, sure, we reach a large audience every single time. We're on right before the game, but to reach somebody right now in Alaska, where I'm pretty sure here in September, it's starting to get chilly up there. Is it cold in Alaska? I bet it already is. I bet summertime has already gone more than it's still around. Maybe there's some nice and warm days still, but let me know, by the way, if everything sounds okay. It's going to be different than my home setup in the acoustics of this room and this mic. Everything's different. I just want it to be good enough. The A's seem defeated. I'll tell you what, after yesterday's game, you have every right to feel that way. But I think that's the nature and the job of a professional, right? Is to then come back the next day and pretend like it didn't happen and not take one loss and make it 2 in a row, right? That loss yesterday felt like 3, but in actuality, it was only 1. And I have to tell you right now, the Blue Jays just hit another 2-run shot. It went from a 2-0 score to a 4-0 score. Valera's first of this season. Yikes. So, yeah, the plot thickens. I'll put that down here in red. See, I've gotten a little bit behind on my scorecard, but this is what I keep for every game. I'll fill this thing out appropriately. And that's what I need and use during the post-game show. Oh, let me catch up on some comments here. Yeah, I really don't feel like doing a no-hitter post-game show today. Yeah, because the A's don't have their first hit yet, and they will. They'll get it. Knock on wood. Oops, don't shake the camera, Brazil, but knock on everything. You're in college football mode right now, otherwise you'd be watching. So wait, Jack, you're watching my live stream about the A's and Blue Jays, but you're not watching it on TV, and you're watching college football. I got to tell you, it is it's a shock to the system to see completely full stadiums as if it's 2019 all over again. I'll refrain from too much commentary on that, and I realize a lot of people are happy about that. It brings them joy. It's interesting coming off, a baseball season where at a lot of parks, I mean, look at, the Giants, I think had 30-something thousand last night, but they're averaging like 17 or 18 a game. And some of that was earlier on in the year, but you look at a lot of big league parks that are just not filled to capacity like college football is lately. Angela, the conference room is great. They started putting some new monitors back here. These are like, I don't know if it says how big they are, but they're like a curved monitor. They're nothing like this little guy here, which is just my temporary one that I put all the screen info on here. The multi-view is what it's called. But yeah, they got everybody in the office, which there's nobody here yet. But I guess this is your welcome back gift. Huge curved monitors. There's hundreds of these things. So these are all ones in boxes. They were, I think, storing and preparing them in here. But it's empty here on the weekend, but it's empty always lately, the way we operate in the pandemic. By the way, you may as well point this out now. I do know AJ. I do know Puck Guy. I do know Teal Town. You write for those guys. So it's a pleasure to meet you virtually. All right, Felix, likewise. And best of luck with them. If they've welcomed you into the circle, that's a compliment to you. It's also a word of caution to you to watch out for them, if you know what I'm saying. Zach, you're at the game. Check this out. You are at this game, and you are live streaming right now with me. That's a small world. I got to be honest. And you're probably celebrating the 4-0 lead right now. Man, what's also unfortunate about the A's here in this series, this is the opportunity to put Toronto away. I mean, they're a handful of games even back of the A's in the wild card standings. This is the weekend where you could give them the ultimate gut punch, and it's not happening. In fact, quite the opposite is happening. The A's had game 1 nailed down, couldn't do it today. Coming back on a 4-0 deficit is not going to be the easiest assignment in the 4 or 5 innings left here. Ooh, better final record this year, Cal or Stanford? Based on what little I know, let me just declare it right off the bat here. Yeah, I don't know. I have not done enough scouting, or I don't have enough information on either. It's been weird, though, the back and forth between those two teams in the last couple decades where, Cal was the dominant force. Cal was the pride of the Bay Area. And then when Shaw took over at Stanford, there was, and obviously before that with Harbaugh, but there was a wave to be ridden or rode. See, if I were Stanford, I'd know what word to use. But it's amazing how they kind of rode that for a bit. And now it does seem like it's Cal's turn to, be the dominant force, at least of those two teams. And I'll say this. I also don't understand what's happened to the rivalry a little bit, and it goes beyond football. This is actually, you know what? This is probably a separate video I should do at some point, but whatever happened to the good old days of the Cal-Stanford rivalry here in the Bay Area? It does feel like that's dissipated a little bit. Sure, we can talk about the acts and, the football games every fall, and I think those are always going to get attention, but when I was growing up, when those two teams squared off in basketball, certainly. I mean, baseball is another conversation. That's a classic matchup, but it just doesn't seem to have the play that it used to. And I don't know if us here in this Bay Area market, if we've been saturated with too many other things, we don't have room on it. on our plate for it? I really don't know. But it does feel like Cal Stanford, if it were in a different part of the country, it would be a big deal. The football game, the basketball games, the baseball games, all sports. It just seems like it's always going to be relevant, but it's lost, I don't know, a little bit of luster around here. And I don't understand it. I think it's exciting. I mean, I think the rivalry of enough alumni still exists, and certainly they are institutions to be proud of. There's nothing going on there. They have great venues to go watch games at now, with Cal's football stadium getting redone a handful of years ago, and Stanford's basically getting totally rebuilt. Great places to watch basketball games between Berkeley and Palo Alto, and same thing with baseball. So I don't understand why the Cal Stanford thing used to be bigger in the Bay Area, but is not so much necessarily right now. Zach, what happened last night? Well, a 2-run homer, a 3-run homer, and a grand slam. That's what happened last night. It was pretty crazy. You know what? It does seem like the A's season has hit a few respective slides, and big ones at that. And to your point, the A's were rolling when they went into Yankee Stadium. They won the first game of that series in June, and then there was a Yankees walk-off in Game 2, and in Game 3, they turned a triple play when the A's were threatening to come back and win. And, you know, their slide from the end of June into July was certainly something to take note of. Then they had the trade deadline. They benefited from that. They went on a run to start August. They won 7 in a row, felt like they had detached themselves from that. And then even in August, I mean, they had a 14-12 record overall. I mean, around 500, which was kind of unexpected. But I do feel like the A's have suffered so many gut punches this year. More than your typical team. I mean, let's talk about them from the start. Trevor Rosenthal, out for a long time, and then out for the season. Mike Fiers made 2 starts, and that's it. And there's no real promise of the return. Stephen Piscotty has not been himself the entire season. I know people have said, well, you know, he's not having a great season. You're not missing much by not having him. No, I'm not even here to say that. I'm starting even before that to say that his injury held him back, and now he's out, and they've missed a player like that all year. Ramon Laureano's 80-game suspension hurt you this regular season, hurt you in a postseason that hopefully the A's make. It hurts you to start next year. He's going to miss the beginning of next year too. Chris Bassett getting drilled with a line drive to the head. Unreal. The ace, the all-star, the Cy Young conversation season that he's been having. Games against the Giants that the A's should have won and gave up. Games against the Yankees that were blowouts, or the A's mounted a huge comeback but ultimately couldn't seal the deal. Remember that in Game 1? Erased a 6-run deficit, I think. It's been one thing after the next. Not being able to put away teams like the Rangers on a regular basis, the Seattle Mariners. I don't mean to sit here and complain. They're still 74-61. They're still within striking distance of the playoffs. But my goodness, it has been one thing after the next. And a lot of times just when there's the opportunity to go ahead and grasp it, run away with it, and secure something, they just have not been able to do it this year. And it's also, when you look at the facets of their team, it's interesting because sometimes it's been the lack of offense with runners in scoring position. It hasn't really necessarily been the starters this year. Quite honestly, consistency in that regard has been relatively high. You know who to expect, and you know what to expect from them. But now the conversation has switched to the bullpen. It's the bullpen right now. You didn't have the closer you planned on going into this season with. Lou Trevino stepped in, did an admirable job, certainly won that role, ran away with it, and now in those last four appearances, my goodness. I mean, the ultimate mental test to overcome that. His next time out, whenever and wherever that is, and what the A's do moving forward with their closing situation. That's not the optimal question that any good team wants to have down the stretch. So to the point of where did all this start and what have the A's been through? Yeah, you kind of did notice it as that Yankees series mid to late June. And everything since then has just been one kind of slap in the face after the next. And ultimately, I didn't even mention in there the fact that the A's had held first place in the division for most of this year, much of this season. And then as part of their slide in July, lost their handle on that too. So I'm not saying it's all doom and gloom. Maybe all of this will make the postseason even more sweet when they can get in and advance. But to understand where things have been right now, yeah, taxing to say the least. Okay, I think this is the weather report from Alaska. It's raining and 48 degrees. Yeah, the seasons are turning, and I'm good with that. Honestly, I am totally good with us getting into fall weather. All over the place. I'm not a huge fan of scorching temperatures and smoky skies. I'm just not. The Ricky Henderson Mizuno gloves. Puck Guy, I did not get those yet. I do like them. They were a childhood memory. And if I could ever snag a pair, but do I really want like an old pair? Do I want the ones I saw you posted on eBay from the 80s or 90s? Can Mizuno make me a brand new pair? Can they just start remaking those? Like Nike makes the Jordans. Can they remake those? Yes, Zach. I'm a little late on the live chat. I did see the Jays go up 4-0. You're very much like Logan Couture right now, updating me on the Blue Jays score, only when they're ahead of the A's. All right, let's see what else is going on here. The A's gave Jansen a home run. His batting average is 181. Yeah. And he's the 9-hitter, and he led off the third inning with a dinger. Oh, well. I invite everybody to tune on your television right now. Guess who just left the yard? Unfortunately, of the solo variety, but Matt Chapman just hit his 24th homer of the season. You can kind of hear Dallas and Glenn on in the background. If I turn them up here, where'd the remote go? Here it is. I'd also don't want to get in trouble with copyright stuff, but
that's a pretty good feeling.
So there's DB on the call right there. That is a good feeling. Chappie just rocketed that thing. Straight away center. Whoops, didn't mean to get loud on the mic there. Deepest part of the park. Okay, so it's 4-1. Long way to go, but I like the fight that the A's have in them. They've always had this fight. Oh yeah, we got the curvy monitors. We got those. We got those. I gotta adjust my headphone settings here. I feel like I'm over modulating just a little bit. I don't want that. But these are things that I'll work on. Why not start Chris Davis? You know what? Has he not started a game yet? Did he pinch hit the only other time in those 2 hits that he got with Detroit? I think how the A's handle Chris Davis down the stretch is going to be interesting. I truly believe that the goal in mind was to never play him every day, unless that was completely warranted, unless he kind of jumped in that role here. I think situationally, if you're looking for the lefty-righty matchup or guys he's had success against in his past or whatever the A's are looking at scouting-wise, but I think the plan was to never have him start off in the everyday DH role. And honestly, the other thing is the way Jed Lowry's been hitting lately, what he did in the Detroit series, couple doubles, stand-up double yesterday, hit a 3-run jack in the Detroit series. It's hard to take his bat out of the lineup right now, no question. So I think, the A's didn't want to overdo it with KD. Certainly his AAA performance warranted the call-up. His first opportunity in 3 at-bats, getting 2 hits, like that warrants a next opportunity. I think we'll do it like that. I don't know that you want to have a guy jump in, no matter how hot he's been, and I don't want him to cool off. But I think the only thing that's happening right now with him is that confidence is still brewing in a very good way. Like, it'd be one thing if he went 0 for 3 the other day and had to sit on that. I would imagine that the A's would not let him go too long without having another at-bat, try and get it right, sit on a confident outing, and then move on. But the next time that they use him, whether it's pinch hitting today or whether it's maybe starting tomorrow as the DH, he's got to be feeling good going into that game. So of everything that's happened with KD, was not surprised that the A's gave him a minor league deal. I was surprised how fast he got back to the AAA level. I was a little surprised how much instant success he had hitting for the Aviators. Not totally, but like, let's be honest, like he crushed it instantly. It didn't even take, it was like 3 games and then all of a sudden, homering every night for 6 straight games. Was I surprised that the A's called him up? I mean, I was kind of pitching for it on TV and on social because I thought it'd be interesting. I didn't think it would hurt them at all. But the fact that they actually did it, yeah, lightly surprised. Not completely, but lightly surprised. But I'm not surprised now after seeing his confidence in the box, at the plate. Not surprised he got a couple knocks. And that's being acknowledged by his teammates. Everybody's so happy for him right now. And I hope that he gives them more reason to be happy in September. Marcus. Yeah, now I know I'm way behind. Marcus was up a while ago. Felix, you've been writing for Teal Town for a while. They're chill. They're super chill. Just, associate when you need to. Detach from them when you need to. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just chirping. Let's see what else we got here. Does Blackburn and Brent Burns have similar beards? I mean, Burnsy's is, I feel like, way less maintained. Paul Blackburn's beard is tapered to a certain degree. Let's see what else we got here. Speaking of the Caldor fire, not to go too political, yeah, but this is more of a human issue. Do current climate patterns concern you? Yes. So Felix, like, here's things I don't know. I don't know if, like, cleaning up the forest is the only thing. It might be part of it. But do I know that the forests all around our state are way too dry? I don't have to be an expert to know that. That's clearly a problem. It's clearly an issue that we don't get enough. We're in a drought. Again, we don't get enough rainwater consistently. And maybe there has been overgrowth. I don't know. But the bottom line is, yes, dry conditions, high wind conditions, higher than normal at this time of year, it completely concerns me. And I'll tell you what, in my younger years, I would have just said, well, what am I going to do about it? But now as I get older, as a dad, I mean, you start to see the next generation take over. And is this what we want to hand them? These type of problems? I mean, when I was growing up as a kid, there were not fires like this so regularly, so intense. This thing is literally going to start in the foothills of the Sierra. It's going to traverse the Sierra Mountains. A fire is literally going to go all the way up. It crested Echo Summit, and now it's going to come down the other side. And this fire is going to go into Nevada by Minden. That is unfathomable, and that's not even the Dixie fires, way bigger. I'm glad to see that there's a little bit more containment on it lately, but this stuff greatly concerns me as a resident of California, but particularly as a citizen of the earth. Like, there is something to this. You cannot deny this, looking at how many fires there have been in recent years and how these have been among the most intense ever recorded. And don't get me started with, what was a fire like in the 1600s? But totally different. It's apples and oranges. You can't measure it, but how would they have put it out? They didn't have airplanes and helicopters, and it is apples and oranges. The bottom line is what you need to know. In the last 100 years, particularly, we have not seen anything like this. And I struggle sometimes with, people complaining because it's smoky, and that's miserable, and it's unhealthy in a lot of ways. But there's nothing like losing a business, a home, a structure, a place you enjoy, let alone potentially the ultimate of a life because of the fire. The fire and the damage that does itself is, irreplaceable, clearly. But in terms of dealing with the smoke, yeah, it's an inconvenience, but you know what? It should also be a message to everybody who's being impacted by the fire. Not just the fire, but all the smoke that blows around across the state. And knock on wood, I hope we don't have it for any stretches like we did last year, where this time of year you just didn't even want to go outside for weeks in a row. But it needs to be called to attention. We need to do something. We cannot have fire season like this or worse in coming years. We just can't. The move to ESPN Plus will not affect the way we do Sharks games. Those are some national deals. Those are some regional things. Sorry, they're not regional things. It's hard to explain, but the answer is no. If you live here locally in the Bay Area, no difference in the product you're going to get on NBC Sports California. The amount of Sharks games we do going to be similar. Who does them, how we do them, where you watch them, all similar. But I do appreciate everybody bringing that up lately because I do realize it's been a little bit confusing. Let's see here. Recently, you've started catching up on the Steve Dangle podcast. I have heard of him. Leads me to the question, if I could interview anybody from Sportsnet on an off day, who would it be? I don't know who I would interview, but let me tell you, Elliot Friedman to me is a good member of the hockey media. I don't know how else to put it. Like, I really respect his work. I respect his perspectives. I respect his approach to, covering things, but also giving you insight with them. A journalist, probably you could say that about him. He's got those tendencies, but he's not entirely, because sometimes he'll give you the news or he'll break it first, but it also comes with some background he's put together, maybe an opinion from him that's also valuable. So I really like Elliot. I think he's got great stuff on a consistent basis. I don't know that he was like a TV person typically growing up or emerging into our business, but he's definitely really good at that. The visual medium, the presentation of it, can grow a sick beard, doesn't hurt anybody. But I'm a big Elliot Friedman fan. Chat bomb, yeah, that happened a while back. Let's see here. I did not know that. Today is the 19th anniversary of Hatterberg's walk-off for the 20th win. Is it really? I guess this day next year, we're going to really have to do something big, right? The 20-year anniversary of 20 straight wins. We'll get Brad Pitt up here. We'll reenact Moneyball. What are my thoughts on NHL players potentially going to Beijing next year? Yeah, obviously it could be called off before then. Also, my thoughts on the new ESPN TV deal for the NHL. Let me begin with the TV deal first, because I think that's more of a straightforward and simple answer. I see it in a multitude of ways. I'm an NBC employee. I know our company took great pride in delivering that product for many years. So I don't know that I'm in a real good place, to see your ex-girlfriend now start seeing somebody else. I don't really know how to approach that or comment on it. I'm certainly interested to see how they cover the league, what they'll do the same, what they'll do different. I'm proud of what NBC did for several decades, a couple decades too, I think, is when they started, early 2000s. Is that right? Late 90s, early 2000s. Putting on a product that is different in so many ways. It's not the NBA, it's not baseball, it's not football, and doing a good job with it. So I guess the biggest takeaway I have about the NHL on ESPN, and also, look, the NHL on Turner Sports too. What type of approach are they going to take there? How's that going to look and sound and feel different? But I'm interested. That's what I am as it relates to those new deals. Unfortunate for our company, obviously. I want us to have the biggest, the best, the most resources, everything else. So I'm interested. My thoughts on the NHL players, likely being in the Olympics this upcoming year. It's been announced that, all systems are go for now. But to the point, we think we've turned corners on COVID, and we have. I mean, the Summer Olympics of 2020 just got pulled off in Tokyo, right? A couple weeks ago. So they know they can do it, but we just don't know what's next. We don't know how this fall is going to be. nationally in our country, globally around the world. I'm glad that they get the opportunity to do it. I think there's so many thoughts. I'm thinking of the first, the first way to break it down is, will it actually happen? I feel like it should, but at this point, nothing would surprise me if it didn't. Everything needs to come with that reservation. Like, we're planning for this, but I don't actually know if it's going to happen. So I am curious about that. I know that all the players want to. That Team Canada roster is going to be pretty stacked. I saw that the other day with, obviously, Crosby's probably his last go around. You can have some superstars on that Canadian team. So Connor McDavid alone with Sid. Throw in an Austin Matthews. I mean, and how's the U.S. going to do? Speaking of that, how's the United States going to do in this tournament? And also, the NHL shutting down for 3 weeks again. It's a weird season. They're coming off like 2 weird seasons. One got the tail end, cut short. Then they came back in September. Then they just played the 56-game season in kind of loose bubbles in a different playoff format. And now they're going to start this season a little bit later, right? Hopefully to get a grasp on COVID. Like opening day for the Sharks, it's usually early October. It's October 16th. Then they take 3 weeks off in February from the 1st to the 21st. And then they don't finish until late April. So I'm glad for the players. They don't want to miss out on this opportunity. It's a huge deal to represent your country. I don't want to take that away from them, but I think it's worth mentioning that you're planning on it, but you just don't know if it's going to be able to happen. And one last point. I am glad to see the league and the Players Association able to agree on this. It's a tough topic to think about. Okay, so here's the NHL's very, very best, and we're going to send off these players to another part of the world to all be with each other, to go outside of the NHL bubble, so to speak. What happens if your best player comes down with COVID or even gets hurt or anything else that would set them back for the NHL season that you're paying for? You're paying for them to play for you. It's rough from an owner and a team perspective and a league perspective, but I'm happy that they are letting these players do exactly what they want to do. Mitchell, you're in Minden. I was talking about Minden earlier with the fire. I hope it comes nowhere close to you. I know it's headed up in that direction, but thinking about you, man. I assume thinking about you, man. I shouldn't have assumed anything. All I saw was a screen name, and I guess it's Mitch M X Hellgeist. Sorry, I don't know what your real name is. I apologize. Is Ken Korak the GOAT? Yes, absolutely. And the captain, as we like to call him, he comes on the heels of Bill King, and filling in, those shoes, impossible. But Ken's been around so many years. I love his radio call. I wish I got to hear more of it. The reason I don't is because I'm usually working every single A's game that I can, and I'm watching on TV because I want our consistent product. I want our product to be consistent. What we talk about in pre, I want to listen to what Dallas and Glenn talk about during the game. I want to bring that into our post-game show. So I like listening to the radio when I'm not working a game or I'm driving around during a day game, whatever. I wish I had more opportunities to listen to Ken, but his home run calls especially, or his late game, late inning calls, and you could just tell the voice cracking a little bit, and he takes it from here to here to here. I love that stuff. Ken is awesome. I think, Samuel, you were asking that question. You already knew the answer. Of course he is. You grew up in Danville. Mount Diablo used to burn every year, but it was in October, not July or August. And I think, too, seeing a fire on Mount Diablo that is quickly extinguished is one thing. And it could have been started by a campfire or whatever. But seeing tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of acres burning every year is just, it's nuts. It's you can't really think that that's normal ever. Uncle Brody, where is the Oakland Moneyball we love? You know what? Harrison's down here. Let me hang on a second. Did he get hit by a pitch, or did he fouled one off his foot, it looks like. I just don't want to see any more players get hurt, whether intentional or unintentional, mostly unintentional, but like fouling one off your foot, man. At Starling Marte, that's another one I forgot to mention earlier when I was talking about all the setbacks. And hopefully his is not a setback. I know he's not playing today. Just give him the day off, let him rest and recover, but that's the last thing you need. Starling Marte to be out for any long term. Oh, he fouled it right off his leg there. Did I watch the game last night? Did you have a... Oh, that's a Raptors. I was looking to see what your avatar was. So the answer is, of course. I covered it. I watched every second of it. And I was agonized at the end. Let's see here. I think I might have got to the end of the chat. So if that's it, everybody, maybe I'll sign off. This has been good. More than anything right now, I'm still trying to test out this live stream, make sure it works here in the studio, make sure it's good. Can I just say, while we're here, if this works, oh, look at that. Since you're here, and since I'm really trying to grow and build the channel out, if you're not subscribing already, please do it. It takes 2 seconds. And if you like the A's, you like the Sharks, you like just life in general, I'm going to try and make the channel even more interesting, more broad. I'm going to try and do some new things in the coming weeks and months. So subscribe to the channel, thumbs up on this video if you're enjoying it, and all the other ones, same thing. What that does is it helps other people on YouTube here see the content, be exposed to it. Maybe they'll like it as well. Is there anything else I missed? Stay hot, Matt Chapman. Whoops, you can't see that. There we go. I totally agree. All right, well, you know what? It's the top of the 6th inning. I'm going to leave it right there. And you know what? I'm actually, and you know what? SB Clay, love you too. I'm actually going to leave all my streaming stuff here tonight. I'll do a little bit more of this tomorrow. Probably get off to an earlier start. We have a 9:30 pregame show tomorrow. So I'll be up in the studio way earlier than normal. This is awesome, right? Like, look at this. I can just control the whole stream. Like, right there, you want to see that camera? Bang. You want to see GoPro? Bang. I also, do I have it hooked up here? No, not yet, but I can if you give me a second. All right, let's try this. Let's try that. And let's try... Oh, wait a second. There we go. Oh, that was pretty loud. Sorry about that. See, there we go. Now we're really rolling here. Okay. I'm signing off with this. 4-1, the A's are down top of the 6th, 2 outs. We have 10 more outs left in this game. Can the A's do it? Runner on second right now. It's Josh Harrison. Tell you what, this series had all the makings of the A's being able to put Toronto's season to rest. That's not been happening. So, see what the rest of this game brings, see what the rest of the weekend brings. It's just you put so much into a year. So much happens, you overcome so much. You start leaking a little bit, but you want to keep swimming as fast as you can. That's what the A's are doing right now. All right. Signing off, everybody. See you later.